All right, welcome to the Franchise Time Machine. Hello, fine to be. Glad you are interested in this experiment. I'm looking forward to it too, especially since there's been some speculation about possible shift in the game, mostly coming from Perfect Team. And again, this is base game, so not exactly the same. Perfect Team is much more influenced by the cards that are in the run environment and things like that, whereas the base game, there could be some shifts in the base game. We have seen it in stolen bases, for example. But just want to see, which attributes help the most when increased to 550. Uh, I do this experiment now. I'm going to do it every cycle. So we did it at the start of 25. Going to do it. Did it start at 26? 25 was already underway. I think when I started streaming, or did I do it in 25 too? I might have done it in 25 too. But this is something I plan to do at the start of every cycle. Batting attributes, pitching attributes, and some of the slider stuff too. I think there's some misconceptions about stealing and speed that I think it's helpful to show through experimentation, and then there are some modifier experiments that I think are helpful to show people how the modifiers work. And we always have new players come in, and the game engine's always changing, so I think it's worth doing every cycle. All right, so similar with the batting experiments, right? We've done a series of those now. We said, okay, what happens if you maximize batting attributes on each team? And then what happens if you minimize a batting attribute on each team? And you can find the VODs for those. I've already exported those to YouTube because I want to make sure I don't lose them. And, we found that power is the attribute you want to boost the most. We've talked in the past about why that is. You get kind of a double dip effect. You get extra home runs, and those home runs are base hits that are not accounted for in contact, so your batting average also goes up compared to what you should be getting based on your ratings. So, and that effect doesn't happen with any of the other attributes, and so that's why power is so important. And gap was by far the least important, and that's because gap modifies base hits, and so it's already dependent on you getting a base hit, and so it's a thing that boosts something that's dependent on another probability roll, and it only boosts it by a base or two, right? Whereas a home run, you get a run and an RBI, and maybe even more if you have runners on base. And so, but the big change I think that we noticed was that I and Avoid K now are almost on par with Babbitt for second place behind Power. And then we did an experiment where we nerfed batting attributes. Oh, that was the nerfed one. So this is the boosted one. This is the nerf. This is the nerfed one. Right, and Avoid K hurts the most when it's minimized. And a lot of that has to do with that we're in the 2025 run environment where there are lots of strikeouts. And if you can't avoid strikeouts, you're done. And I think it also highlights the likelihood that the strikeout or not strikeout calculation happens relatively early in the way OOTP calculates what happens in a plate appearance or an at bat. And so, yeah, you definitely want to avoid super low avoid K, and you want to seek out power. Now, unfortunately for us, when we play Creator Roster or games like that, power often comes with low avoid K. So maybe we'll do some experiments to show kind of where's the break point, right? How bad is bad for avoid K before it's not worth chasing the power. But tonight, what we're hoping to show is what's the pitching equivalent. Which pitching attribute do you want to seek out the most, and which pitching attribute do you want to avoid if it's minimized? Right. This has implications for creator roster, for low ball creator roster, and I think for things like online leagues like Red Rock League, PB eSIM, EMLB. When you're looking to create players, choose a created player or boost your player. And just for playing base game in general. So I think it's a very useful set of experiments. So yeah, so tonight we're going to start the pitching attribute side of this. So let's go ahead and set up the run here in the completely average league. I'm going to create a new game. We have a quick start for this. Oh, I have to set up a new quick start. We're gonna turn. Oh no, not in this. Okay, never mind. That's in creator roster, not in the experimental league. We don't need to turn off roster moves in the average league. Average league quick start number 3. This is an experiment OOTP27. This is episode 621. Pitch max. Let's just call it P max. And we'll do it in a 5 times long season. All right, so I'm not going to take over a team because we've seen that create problems in the past. I am going to update the mailbox. Mailbox settings and manager options are not carried over when you do a quick start. So we have to do this every time. All right, now the first thing I like to do when we set up something like this is we're going to rename the team so we know what we're setting up. So what are the pitching attributes we can maximize? There's stuff. There's HRA. There's PBABIP. And there's control. And we'll do the same for the neutral league. Okay, we're going to ask for the schedule. And we're going to go ahead and make these changes here. All right, first up is a control team. And every pitcher is going to get 550 control. That's interesting. We have the split set at 1, but the control did not go up symmetrically. That's interesting. All the controls are up. All right, next team is home run suppression. Now, HRA is tricky. We should just be able to change raw movement, and it should change HRA. Yeah, they did. So there's a home run allowed, just did move up to 550, so we're good. It used to be a little harder to do. You used to have to manipulate ground ball percentage, movement, and then get the HRA to move. But this is really nice. It's gotten a lot easier to edit. Okay. P. Babbitt. This is much easier now. This used to be a different scale. It used to not have a split. And it used to not have potential. Now it's like all the other attributes, which is a really nice improvement. Okay, and then we've got stuff. Now stuff is the hard one. This I believe is still hard to do. Now the easiest way to boost stuff is to increase the velocity. And for the starters, we're going to look at starting pitching stuff. For relievers, we're going to look at relief pitcher stuff. Well, that didn't help a lot. We're going to start boosting pitches until we get to 550. Well, fastball alone got close. Oh, way too much. Way too much. All right, so the formula to get to 550 stuff is going to be 100 plus velo, 550 fastball, 430 slider. Everything else stays the same. All right, so figuring out the formula is the hard part. Now that that's done, we'll just have to enter it in. Ezra Denny, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. I'm excited that you're almost done with spring, or I guess you are done with spring training, so we can start watching some regular games and start getting those 7th inning stretches. My favorite part of OOTP After Dark. Bronson Johnson, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Open day is Sunday. That's awesome. And is there going to be Saturday night tomorrow night? I hope so. I'm looking forward to what game you're going to play. For the Raiders and those of you who are already here, if you can't tell, I'm a big fan of Ezra Denny and his streams. Secretly, thank you for redeeming Scritches for Crouton. He is right here by my feet. It is nighttime, and I am talking at the computer, so he knows what that means. It means Scritches are coming. Oh, a variety of games would be nice, too. Looking forward to that. So here's what we're doing tonight. The last couple streams, I did batting attributes in OOTP27. Learned quite a bit about what attributes you want to boost, what attributes you want to correct if you're deficient in them. The VODs are up. I've actually put them on YouTube already, so I don't lose them. But right now you can watch them on Twitch, or you can go to YouTube and watch them there. I think they're very helpful for anyone who's going to be playing online leagues, anyone who's going to be playing base game. And I think there are implications for Perfect Team, too. So I think it's helpful for a lot of reasons, but I think most applicable to online league players. And tonight we're going to do that with pitching attributes. The first experiment we do is we boost one attribute on each team to the almost maximum of 550. And then we play those teams against each other, and we see which team is giving up the fewest runs. That indicates that that attribute, when boosted, is the most helpful at reducing runs. And what do we care about when we're playing Perfect Team or playing base game is scoring more runs than we're giving up. And so that's why we use runs as the dependent variable. It just has a lot less noise than wins or losses. All right, so we're in the middle of setting up the league. We figured out how we're going to do stuff to get it to 550. For starters, then we have to figure it out now for the relief pitchers. But our formula is going to be 100 plus miles an hour and increase the fastball to 550 and the slider to 430. All the other ones, it's a straight edit here, so it's pretty easy. So velocity to 100 plus, fastball to 550, slider to 430. Actually, the VR is running a little high at 558. So let's see what happens if we do 425. 420? No, 420 would have been nice though, huh? 415. Yeah, 415. So let's go back and edit those first two pictures. 415. Oops. $415. Okay, 100 plus 550, 415. This is starting picture number 5. After this, we have to figure out the formula for relief pitchers. Okay. So, first relief pitcher. Now we want this relief pitcher, our stuff, to go to 550. Okay, how come boosting velo didn't do a thing? That's weird. 550. Okay, we're almost there actually. This is already up to 548. So 300. 310. 325. It's very stubborn. 350. Oh, 3350. 350. Okay. So 550, 350 for relief pitchers. Now, for starting pitchers, we have to boost that to 415. For relief pitchers, we only have to do it to 350. Right, the relief pitchers tend to have the higher stuff with the same ratings. Okay, so we're just going to recreate that the rest of the way for these other relief pitchers. You're just going to arrow down through the pitching staff till we're done. Oh, wait, that's 550, 350, not 350. There's no pack giveaway tonight, but we will have them again starting on Monday. So something to look forward to. All right, well, that was pretty easy. We're done with that pitching staff already. All right, next up. Another control team. That's what we're doing right now. They're getting their upgrade as we speak. All right, so that team is done. Next up, we've got HRA. This new, the new movement and PBABIP setups are real nice. Whoops. Okay. PBABIP. This is the biggest change and the most helpful. PBABIP is now structured like all the other pitching attributes. The potential for me, from a gameplay perspective, is the most fun. That we finally get potential PBABIP. Okay. And then stuff. We know the formulas for stuff. We figured them out previously. So we're just going to use those same formulas. 100 plus miles per hour, 550. And if we're starting pitchers, 415. Okay, last starting pitcher. And now we start doing the relief pitchers. Oops, I don't think I just did the velo on that last guy. Yeah. Yep, okay, this team, all the stuff looks good. This team, all the PBABIP looks good. All the HRA looks good. All the contact looks good. Stuff looks good. PBABIP looks good. HRA looks good. Now, one interesting thing is, HRA is the only thing, when we raised it to 550, it didn't go to 85. It just went to 80. All right, let's also make sure the free agency pool is empty. That we had a problem with that last night. Oh, I left the pitchers in there. Are all the players in here? Oh, they are all in here. All right. I thought I took care of that. Let me make a note to delete free agents. Yeah, Deli, it's a very popular channel for redemption. You have to time it just right. Alright, so let's go ahead and save this. And we'll save it as a quick start as well. Each team in average league has the same pitching attribute stuff. HRA, PBABIP control boosted to 550. All right, so there's no free agents. That issue is solved. That's funny. Super Mudman had the A's move to Las Vegas in year one off season, and this off season they immediately moved to Indianapolis. All right, I need to refill my water, and I want to push back ads till after the sim is over. So I'm gonna go ahead and run 3 minutes of ads. That'll give us an hour uninterrupted, and should be enough time to run the sim. All right, I'll see you all in a few minutes. All right, looks like the ad break is over. Finder V, thank you for the channel point redemption for Scritches for Crouton. Oh, look at this guy. He's standing now, just waiting for his Scritches. He's standing right next to my chair, just waiting for those Scritches. Holy cow. Unbelievable, this guy. Right. Scritches have been delivered. Let's put another channel point wager up. All right, which team will allow the fewest runs? That is to say, which team is going to be most effective at preventing runs, which means which attribute, when boosted, suppresses the most runs. Stuff, HRA, PBABIP, and control. And if it's close, we'll sum across the two leagues to come up with the final answer. If the other experiments are any indication, there will be a clear, winner. So let's go ahead and I did save this, I think. I did save the quick start. I'm pretty sure I saved the quick start. Channel point wagering is open for another 4 minutes. So put in your best guess. And which pitching attribute is going to be the most important one in suppressing runs tonight? Everyone seems to have their own pet attribute that they think is the most important. So this will be interesting to see what the guesses look like. If last night is any indication, there are people waiting to snipe at the last minute, putting a handful of channel points. Nope. There's a lot of activity tonight. This is the bets are flying now. So right now there's over 1,000 each on HRA and PBABIP. There's 500 on stuff, and there's only 200 on control. That's interesting. Just the shape of the betting is interesting to me. It'll be interesting to see if the actual final results mirror the wagering, right? Like HRA jumping out big time now. 3,200 on HRA, 1,100 on PBAB, 500 on stuff, and 200 on control. So almost 2/3 of the points wagered right now are on HRA. It is. It's a 2025 run environment. I like to use the most recent season that has historic based ratings. The 2026 ratings were based on projections, which I don't like to use. But for the Completely Average League, all those projections are gone anyway. I don't even know why I brought that up. We've replaced all the major leaguers with our completely average players. Wow, HRA even more. 75% now on HRA, 15% on PBABIP, 7% on stuff, and 3% on control. All right, we're under a minute left on the wagers. Does it give you the option of re-wagering, or once you wager, are you done? Because if you enter once and you're done, that would explain why there's no more activity. Oh, that's interesting. You can add more points, but you cannot switch categories. Okay. Ooh, a big move on control at the last minute. All right, so we're just over half the points have been bet on HRA. Controls 30%, PBAB is 13%, and stuff is now down to 5%. All right, well, let's see what happens. I don't know actually what's going to happen here. I had a very strong prediction on power for the batting one, and that was true. I did not know what was going to happen with the nerfed batting attributes, and it turned out to be Avoid K. And on this one, I don't have a strong feeling. I put my alt bet on control, not on control, on stuff. 39.4% of runs came on home runs last year. Yes, it does matter to the extent at which HRA will reduce that, but we've set it pretty high, so it should nerf that down pretty far. So I think that's a really good data point to support wagers on HRA for sure. All right, let's advance to opening day so we can see what the AI's preseason predictions say. All right, you'll see here generating MLB season predictions. So now we can go to MLB, reports and info, preseason predictions. Okay, the lowest ERA is going to be Team Stuff, according to the AI. Second lowest will be Team PBABIP, then Team Control, and then Team HRA. This is almost the opposite of the wagering. But these are just preseason predictions. We need to really see what happens when it plays out. Same thing in the neutral league, same order. Now, when we are running parallel experiments like this, one thing I look for is if there's a big change from one league to the other in the sequence, or yeah, so in the average league, control is third, HRA is last. In the neutral league, HRA is third and control is last. So one thing that makes me do is let's go back and make sure all the teams look right. Because you wouldn't expect... Oh, you know what I forgot to do? We have to 5x the season length. And I can't do that now because I already advanced to opening day. So we're going to run this twice. The wagering is going to be based on the 5x season. But let me just make sure all the pitching staffs look right. Now you see before these were all 50s and now they've changed. It's because they've normalized across the league. And this is why this 85 has come down to 75. Okay, so no issues there. HRA and the HRA splits. No issues there. Yeah, we got everybody. PBABIP. Wow, PBABIP is now up to 90. Stuff. And the stuff splits. Yeah, everything looks okay there. Control. Yep. HRA. Yep. PBABIP. And stuff. Wow, stuff goes up to 5 stars across the board. That's interesting. Now, part of why the predictions might be like this is because the AI values stuff so much. Yeah, if there were people in free agency, it would have really shown up here. But I did delete them before we started the sim. All right, so this is going to be the single season run, and then we'll do the 5x season run, and that's the one we'll use for the final settling of the channel point wagers. All right, so let's run a month at a time. Team stuff already out to a lead. The games behind, though, are pretty small. PBABIP leading in the neutral league. Yeah, Super Mudman. The AI definitely loves its stuff for sure. Now, again, this is why we do a 5x season, right? Stuff has a 12-game lead, and everyone's running for second place here in the average league. In the neutral league, PBABIP is ahead. Stuff is in third place, and the big gap is to control, right? But it's still early. Okay, again, big gap after stuff to everyone else in the average league. In the neutral league, PBABIP still ahead. HRA and control have dropped, though, to third and fourth place. PBABIP still stubbornly in first place in the neutral league. Still in first place. In the average league, stuff is way ahead. So stuff has clinched in the average league, 32 games ahead of everyone else. In the neutral league, it's stuff and PBABIP battling for first place, and then everyone else is battling for third. All right, 1 game left to go. PBABIP is actually going to hang on to win the neutral league. And stuff has destroyed everyone in the average league. And again, this makes me wonder, what is going on with the PBABIP team in the AL versus the PBABIP team in the NL? So let's do another check. PBABIP in the AL. Everyone's 90. That checks out. PBABIP in the NL. Everyone's 90. So this is some version of RNG. Let's look at stuff. Let's look at stuff in both leagues too. AL stuff, which is dominating. 75s for the starters, 70s for the relievers. Oh, look at this. AL stuff is running a 4-man rotation. What? Are the other teams running 4-man rotations? What the heck? The AI is cheating. Holy cow. The NL stuff team did the same thing. That is wild because here's what happens when you move into the closer role. This starting pitcher gets a stuff boost. So if you look at the stats of the closers, right? This closer has 15.7 strikeouts per 9. If you look at a different team's closer, well, actually, they're all going to be lower, of course, because it's team stuff. But I guess the difference here is you can see how all the other relievers are in the 13s, 14s. There is a 15.6 here, but this one's got the 15.7. And, oh no, hold on. Did they just move him for the postseason? Because he did have 191 innings. Did the AL stuff team have 100 and something innings too? Okay, yeah, he pitched 17 games in relief, so he was moved. How about the NL stuff team, which is not ahead? Okay, this one was only moved in the postseason. So the AL stuff team got a big benefit by moving one of their relief pitchers. Okay, so I think that's going to invalidate these results here. And what we're going to do is we're going to not allow starting pitchers in relief. That's crazy. I did not realize the AI was going to do that. Speckle, thank you for redeeming switches for Crouton. He's moved over to his bed. Let's give him some scratches. These are from Speckle, buddy. Alright, well, we had to go to the 5X version anyway, so let's do that now. We're just going to exit this. And then we're going to create a new game using the quick start from tonight. So experiment 5, episode 621. And we'll name it A, 5XA. Oh, P-Babbit did a 4-man too? Okay, so we're going to change all of those. So I know we can make the AI turn off roster moves. Maybe we should set all teams to be controlled by me. Because I think going to a 4-man rotation is not a roster move. Alright, let's set all teams to be controlled by me. Okay, so now we control every team in the league. The other thing we need to do is we're going to change it to 810 game schedule. And we're going to generate the new schedule. And for every team's pitching staff, we're going to say, allow pitchers in relief? No. I'm shocked that happened. That's wild. I say every time we do an experiment, I learned something new that's not related to what we're testing. Again, it happened again. It happens all the time. I've been playing this game for so long, and it still surprises me sometimes. Alright, so let's save this. We'll save it as another quick start. Human manager for all teams. No starting pitchers allowed in relief. 810 game. 5x season. Okay. Man, that's wild. .1 WAR, was that what the starting pitcher in the bullpen got? 5. A lot of that probably came from his starts though, and then he was overpowering in the bullpen. There is no difference between average and neutral. They're just the AL and the NL. The average league and the neutral league. And there's no interleague play, so there's no competition between the two. So basically we're getting two parallel experiments at once. Okay, now let's try this again. Let's advance to opening day. Generating MLB season predictions. Oh, I didn't change the mailbox settings. I forgot about that. And the manager options. Okay. MLB reports and info preseason predictions. Again, there's a flip between HRA and control and HRA in the AL and the NL. Oh no, it's in the win-loss record. If you look at the ERAs, they are in the same order. The ERAs are Stuff lowest in both. PBABIP second lowest in both. HRA third lowest in both. It's just that for some reason the control team is projected to win more games. Okay, so there is no discrepancy in the runs. This is why we use runs against instead of wins and losses. Okay. So now let's go see what happens. We're going to go year by year because this is a 5x long season. Now, one thing to look at too is that the leaderboards. If a team is consistently leading in a category, that team's pitchers are probably best at suppressing that category because that's why that team is ahead, because that team's pitchers are suppressing that and everybody else. Right, so batting average, you would expect the team PBABIP batters to be the best because they're not having to face 550 PBABIP pitchers. You would expect the home run leaders to come from Team HRA, but for some reason they're not. Why are the home run leaders not coming from Team HRA? That is really strange. Right, because that team should be that team should have the best home run hitters because their home run suppressing pitchers are preventing everybody else in the league from hitting home runs. All right, now it's starting to come out that way a little bit. And again, I think it's the the small sample size. It's taking a while for it to iron out. There are probably gonna be a lot of strikeout records by the stuff pitchers. That's what a lot of these are. All right, let's take a look at the pitching stats and make sure there are no shenanigans going on here. All right, all the starting pitchers are getting starts. None of them are in the bullpen for this team. Same here. Check out this RNG. This one guy is 6-24. Everyone on this team should have no. Okay, why is he giving up 20 home runs? Is that RNG? Yeah, he's got the same RNG as everyone else. For some reason, he's getting hammered. He's given up 20 home runs. He's got the same HRA as everybody else. For some reason, his home runs per nine is 0.6. PBABIP. Opposition PBABIP is all pretty low. Team stuff. Right, tons of strikeouts. Even though they're striking out batters, so the BABIPs are high because the strikeout is not a ball in play. Team control. They're still giving up almost one walk per 9 inning, though. That's interesting. I think that's one thing that's going to hold back team control. Is they're diminishing returns on having super high control, right? This is another team HRA. Again, some of these guys are getting hammered. It's relative, though, right? Like, if you look at team control, for example, right, they're giving up 30, 40 home runs. But they're still giving up 13, 15, 15 home runs. So I wonder, do I have the modifiers on? No, they're off, which is what I wanted them to be. So that's fine. Team PBABIP. Again, the BABIPs are in the 200s, but they're not super low. It's not like they're in the 150s or anything. But the whips are all pretty uniformly low on this team. And then team stuff. See, you can get whips as low as the PBABIP team or the control team. You're just striking your way out of a lot of stuff instead of, preventing hits, preventing walks. You're just getting a lot more outs through strikeouts, and that is preventing some of the base runners. All right, nothing seems wrong with these setups. I don't see any starting pitcher in the bullpen shenanigans. The ratings still look okay. So there's nothing that's happened there. Yeah, looks good. All right, let's do another year. It's still baffling to me that the batters on Team HRA are not. Okay, they are starting to take over the leaderboard, but in the average league, it is not the batters on Team PBABIP that are leading the league in average. That's really weird to me. Now, in the neutral league, it has started to happen, right? These guys have the best batting average because they're not facing the best PBABIP pitchers in the league. Okay, we've got, we're 500, 620-ish games in. And we're going to run until August 14th. That'll be the end of the regular season. These home run totals are very low, though. Right, if they're 5x seasons, this is about 13 home runs. No, I guess that's right. A 17 or 18 is what we got when we just ran the league against itself. So. Right, PBAB was very close in the neutral league compared to the average league. But from a win-loss perspective, the sequence is the same. Stuff, PBABIP, HRA, and Control. We have one more game to play. Let's finish that. And then let's look at the team stats. Oh, let's do the postseason. Let's do that. This is just for fun, but PBAP and stuff, PBAP and stuff. Now, the margin was pretty small, and these are short series relative to a 5x season. So anything can happen here. I would not be surprised if if at least one of the PBAP teams makes it to the World Series and maybe even wins it all. Nope, in the short series, stuff comes through both sides 4-1. And it goes the distance, 7 games. All right, now let's look at the. Now this is very interesting to me. Normally, when we do this stuff, right, the team that has all the home run suppressing pitchers, their batters lead the league in home runs because their batters are the only ones not facing home run suppressing pitchers. But somehow this PBAB team batter is tied for second in home runs. And in the average league, there's a stuff batter that's tied for that's in second place for home runs. Now, likewise for batting average, right? All the batting average leaders should be PBAB team players because they're the only ones not facing a 550 PBAB pitcher during the season. Yet there's a stuff batter and a stuff batter here. What if we look at the league stats for batting? Yeah, it's not all PBAB. In fact, it's only half PBAB. It's half stuff. Also, too, notice all the offensive categories are nerfed in general because we've added so many dominant pitchers. Even if they're dominant in one thing, right? They're really suppressing the runs across the league. Right. And again, with home runs, it should be the batters on Team HRA that are leading because those are the only batters that don't face 550 HRA pitchers. Yet there are two Team Stuff guys and a PBA Team PBAB guy on this list. That's really interesting to me. Is it possible that there's something about PBAB and Stuff that can counterfeit the effects of HRA? And similarly, is there something about Stuff that can counterfeit the effects of PBAB? On the Stuff thing, that would be if the strikeout or not strikeout calculation comes earlier than the base hit or not base hit calculation. That's the only thing I can think of there. But let's look at what the runs allowed look like. This is much tighter, right, than the runs scored by the batting teams. But Team Stuff gives up about 15% fewer runs than Team PBABIP, who's the second place team. The margin is almost the same so even though the wins and losses were pretty different, the runs allowed, about 300 runs allowed difference between Stuff and PBABIP. So that's interesting. PBABIP had a bunch of errors. Where do you see errors? We can go to team fielding statistics. I wouldn't say they had more errors than HRA. I think basically Team Stuff just has fewer errors. Well, the run difference is 300. The earned run difference is 230. So the difference is actually tighter in earned runs. But if you look at errors, right, this makes sense. Like, all the rest are kind of tied, and then Team Stuff has fewer errors because there are just fewer balls put into play. They're getting a lot more outs without having to rely on their fielding. Now there are also people who say, well, if you're relying on PBAB, you have to have good fielding. But they're not getting any more errors than the other teams, even though they're relying on their fielding to get their outs. It's almost the reverse. It's almost like it's causing a higher zone rating. It's almost like PBAB helps you boost your zone rating instead of defense is what you need to have a good PBAB team. Yeah, it's almost like the game is saying this pitcher has a really good PBAB, therefore we have to get this out. Therefore, the fielder has to make this play. Therefore, the fielder's zone rating is improving. Do you like it? It's almost like the PBAB is causing the fielding to improve, which is not how that's supposed to work. That's wild. Huh. But yeah, if I think 10% probably the the edge of what you might want to consider statistically significant, given that it's a 5x season. I think it actually feels pretty safe. And so I think there are statistically significant differences between stuff and PBABIP, and PBABIP and HRA. Even HRA and control, like it seems like every step here feels statistically significant. Especially since we've gone through the trouble of running a 5x season. If we run this for 10x, I'd feel more confident. But yeah, boosting stuff is more helpful than boosting PBABIP, which is more helpful than boosting HRA, which is more helpful than boosting control. I would not have put these in that order. I only thought stuff number one because it seemed lately, like in OOTP26 and 27, stuff has become more important. Because the main reason I can think of for that is if the strikeout or not strikeout calculation has moved earlier in the process. And I thought, like everyone else, that HRA would be more important than PBABIP at least. Right? Because if you think about what's happening in 2025, it's a lot of strikeouts and a lot of home runs. And so I thought stuff and HRA would be 1 and 2. But this is really wild. It's almost like the fielding should be a requirement to have effective PBABIP. But it almost feels like the game is saying this pitcher has to have good PBABIP because they have a 550 rating. Therefore, the fielders are going to have to improve to keep this pitcher at a 550 PBABIP. Which is a crazy way for the game to operate, but I guess it's what it has to do to make the numbers work out. But it's a reverse logic of what everyone thinks of in Perfect Team. Like in Perfect Team, I keep hearing people say, oh, if you're going to run a high PBABIP pitching staff, you got to have good fielding behind it. This data suggests if you run a high PBABIP pitching staff, your fielders are going to improve to keep that PBABIP effective. Yeah, this does suggest that is there a strikeout or not a strikeout comes first. And then is it, if it's put in play, is it a base hit or not? Whereas I think in the past, the data suggested that the strikeout or not strikeout came after it was determined it was an out. And then it would say, is this out from a strikeout or not a strikeout? The last two cycles seems like that calculation may have flipped. And the strikeout or not a strikeout calculation may be coming earlier. Maybe not first, but definitely earlier than in the... Yeah, this is interesting. Now the next thing we'll do, same thing we did with the batting, is we're going to nerf one of these for each team and see if it's symmetrical or not. And if it's not, what's the order in reverse? Right, which thing when it's nerfed hurts the most? If it's symmetrical, nerfing stuff should hurt the most. I have a feeling nerfing control is going to be a disaster. But since it helps the least, if it's symmetrical, it should hurt the least. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Yeah, Super My Man. There are different ways it could be going, but I think directionally, you and I are on the same page. Like there's something that has happened with the strikeout, not a strikeout calculation, and where it happens either in the sequence or the priority of things. Whatever it is, this is very interesting. Very interesting set of results to me. All right. This really gets me excited to see what happens in the next one where we reverse this and nerf certain attributes. I think we're probably just going to end up doing that tomorrow night after Ezra does his Saturday Night Live. All right, well, I hope you all found that as interesting as I did. Let's go ahead and settle the channel point wager. Yeah, I think Control is going to gut the pitchers, or it could be HRA because it is such a high home run environment. Let's see. All right, the outcome was Team Stuff. Team Stuff gave up the fewest runs. I feel bad. I'm gonna take all your all's channel points. My alt bet 500 channel points, and I think was the only one who bet Team Stuff. Yep, 10,611 channel points go to. Oh no, Psycho Ducko got in there too. Congrats to Psycho Ducko too. Psycho Ducko got in there too. So Psycho Ducko and my alt are gonna split those channel points from everybody. Well, sorry everybody. Team HRA. Everyone went deep on HRA. They were the third best. The betting almost went in the opposite order of the results. Team Stuff had the fewest wagers and were the best at run suppression. Team P Babip had the second fewest wagers, and they were the second best at run suppression. Wow. Very surprising results then to everybody. And Psycho Duck, a way to be there with me, predicting that Stuff is going to be the winner here. Stuff is the biggest suppressor, and so that aligns with what we've been hearing anecdotally from Perfect Team too, right? That Stuff has been more important lately, and our experiments would suggest Stuff has been more important in 26 and 27, and I think that kind of aligns with what we've been hearing about it. Now with Perfect Team though, the big thing with Perfect Team is that the card environment matters a lot. Right, and in OOTP 20, in Perfect Team 26, the Tewksbury's and the other low stuff pitchers were fine in the first month or two of Perfect Team. And it was when the Better Avoid K batters started coming in, the Better Avoid K cards started coming in, that then those low stuff pitchers started to get hammered a lot more. So yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens when we flip it tomorrow. Hopefully you can be here for that too. See what happens. If you can't, I'll put the VODs up on YouTube, and they'll be on Twitch for 2 weeks, I think. But if I don't get them to YouTube, they will disappear. And I'm trying to be better about making sure I get stuff over to YouTube. Mostly so that people can reference it later on. Let's see what Baffle's up to. Alright, Baffle is still doing his stream. Let me see how much longer he's going to be streaming. Okay, we're going to rate him to Baffle. He's going to be streaming another couple hours. I don't know if he's already given away his... he did have a couple of game codes to give away. I don't know if he's already given those out. But he started out playing OTP tonight. I think he's going to switch over to MLB The Show, but let's go right over to him. And then tomorrow night, we'll raid into Midnight Sumo. It's gonna be the last night of the sumo tournament, and we're gonna want to see that. So let's raid Baffle tonight. Oh, he already did his giveaway. Okay. Well, it's up to you guys. Do you wanna raid into Baffle or do you want to raid into Midnight Sumo? There are 2 nights left in the sumo tournament, and it'll be a couple more months before the next sumo tournament. So, what would you all like to see? I could go either way. There are only 2 days left in the sumo tournament, but I also wouldn't mind supporting Baffle either, even if he is switching over from OOTP to MLB The Show on the stream. What do you all want to watch? The other one I would have thought about rating is Juanita Cal, but they're not playing the game I like watching them stream. So either way is fine. All right, let's show Baffle some love. He's a good member of the community. As long as we see the finale of the sumo tournament, I'm fine with that. So let's raid Baffle. We'll show him some love. All right. Well, thanks for being here. I'm glad people seem to enjoy this experiment. Just like with the batting attributes, I think we won't know the full story until we do the nerfing side too. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. I'll be up a little longer watching Baffle stream while I do some drafts, and then I'm going to go to bed. Also, next week is spring break. My wife is taking the kids to go visit her mom, and so I will be home, and I may be able to do some more streaming at times other than 10 p.m. Pacific time, because the main reason I don't stream other times is because I have work, and then we have kids, and there's like shuttling to practices and childcare and stuff, and so having spring break means and no kids in the house means I might be able to stream at other times. We'll be doing a lot of the player generation testing for Creator Roster, and I'll try to keep you updated through the Discord on when I might be going live. But just keep an eye out. I might be popping in, especially when there are openings in the schedule, and I'm not going to be stepping on other people's streams. But definitely tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Pacific time, or whenever Ezra finishes.